I'm telling you, boy. I'm telling you, boy. You know what I'm trying to see this? Boy, I'm trying to you don't. I'm saying this, I'm walking my goddamn truck. Alright then. That's what I'm talking about. Like you knew, buddy. I'm telling you, knew, man.
Got some people to help here.
He's got a big, good lot of money.
All right, DV.
What's happening?
Yeah, since that other situation's going on, just make sure we hang out here so I can discuss that with you. We'll get it worked out. Hey everybody, what's going on? So YouTube hijacked my channel today. They got really ticked off at me. Out of 30 videos, 14 of them were non-copyright and blocked worldwide. Oh, well, you have to find out somehow, right? All right. Let me get this down here. So, DP.
Yes.
Do you want me? I was going to start out with Derp's video real quick. Why don't we play that? You want me to run over and grab the chili, or do you want to go with Pat?
Why don't we do a chili, Pat, and then
Okay, I got you.
Chili.
All right. Let me get this going, and while that's going, I'll get over and get that going. Ladies and gentlemen, Flat Dirt featuring, it looks like Script Cat's in this too. I haven't seen this yet. Script Cat and Dickbag Patrol. All right. Have we got sounds?
I don't see anything on the screen.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so does that just not work worth a shit for me then, does it? It just doesn't like me today. Sue me, you fool. Did it come up?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Move over, Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
That's right. Chili de Castro's back. America's favorite singing constitutional law scholar.
Right.
You know him from his smash.
This out. I didn't have any.
I can hear it.
You can?
Yeah. I don't know about everybody else.
Yeah. So this is an issue that I've got here then.
Got a lot of problems today. Almost as
huge problems today. I was just lucky to even have everything working.
If I could wish for one thing right now, it'd be for the president of AT&T to come knocking on my door, because I fucking deck him.
Okay. Well, if everybody else can hear it, it doesn't matter if I can. Okay. Linda says it's good. It doesn't matter if I can hear it or not.
Over, Taylor Swift. That's right. Chili de Castro's back. America's favorite singing constitutional law scholar. You know him from his smash hits. GTFO, you're black.
He's a black man. Yo, so you call 911, you're calling the death sentence on him. They'll come and get you, dude. You're black.
Never stop going down.
You've never met anybody like me. I'm never stopping. I'm coming after you.
And of course, the #1 smash hit, You're Not My Daddy. Get ready for Chili's Greatest Hits Volume 4. With his new worldwide smash, Sue Me seems to be the hardest word, featuring Script Cat and Dickbag Patrol. That's right. If you purchase and enjoy Chili's Greatest Hits Volumes 1 through 3, schedule an MRI. And if you still want to buy Volume 4, don't bother with the MRI. The tumor has become inoperable. Chili's Greatest Hits Volume 4. Trifold not included. Please note, Chili's Summer Jam with Corey Feldman has been canceled due to unforeseen circumstances. No refunds.
Don't wake up, you got the GHB in you. Don't tell me, because if you do, I will sue. There's the door, it's time for you to go. If you...
I've been sick all day. I've been puking and pooing all day long. All day long I've been puking and pooing. I've been puking all day. I've been sick all day. I've been puking and pooing all day long. I've been puking and pooing. All day long I've been puking and pooing. Puking and pooing. Puking and pooing.
You guys are nerd boys.
Yeah. And you know what we do, little nerd boys.
I do, that's why I called you over.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
What have I got to do to make you sue me? What have I got to do? 'Cause it ain't fair. What do I do when the copyright strikes me? And I wake to find that
I don't care. What do I do to make you stalk me? What else I gotta do to this noise?
what do I say for some exposure?
When sue me seems to be the hardest one.
Yeah.
It's all credits, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Oh, there's something on the end here. Hold on.
Yeah. Yeah.
GHB double slammy, check it. Check you. Oh, that's the super alpha, running super fast. You can forget it, I'm not playing with you.
Okay, kids,
birthday party is over.
Nice.
Yeah,
Hey,
nice. Good stuff.
Somebody asked, I think it was Mag D5 asked what the beef with Corey Feldman is. There's no real beef. There's some similarities with his lack of self-awareness, some very strong similarities between him and Chili. So I was just having fun with it. Like I said, I like his acting career all day long, but like just like Chili, trying to be some kind of legal expert, Corey trying to be a musician. It just ain't happening, you know what I mean? So
well, and what makes it fun to play with is the fact that he does not recognize the fact.
Yeah, it's just a complete lack of self-awareness, you know. You can tell them right to their face, listen, I'm saying this for your own good, for everybody's good. Try something else, you know, or
right.
You know, find something else, because this is never happening. And they'll just be like, it won't even phase them. It's a disease. Hello, Patrick Darcy, by the way.
Hello,
welcome.
Sir Patrick.
Yes. But yeah, that derp video was pretty. I don't know. He sent me an email and I like read it through, and you know, it was just kind of he sort of described something, and I just kind of sent him what I thought he was. You know, it wasn't like a big thought out thing on my end. You know, but so I didn't even know really what to expect, because he just said, yeah, just make up some greatest hits things about Chili and whatever.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, exactly. It was like just okay, here you go. And I had no idea what he was gonna do with it, but that was pretty fun with Script Cat there. I had no idea what it was gonna sound like. He just sent me, I guess they're teaching himself piano, so good for him.
Yeah.
And he's playing all the piano in there throughout the video. So he sent me the Elton John parody, and it's harder to sing in your talking voice than you would think, because when I sing, I generally don't sound like that, you know. But you know, play it up. But it's always fun collabing with him. It's never like stressful or anything, so it's usually just like pretty quick and easy. So and that's the great thing about his videos too, is they don't really have to make any kind of logical sense. You know what I mean? I mean, you could swing for the fences, because you know, they're just sort of there's a lot of sort of randomness to them, you know, by nature. So but he has a unique sense of humor, our derp, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah, he's a valued member of the whatever this ass end of YouTube is.
5 minutes, 55 seconds.
It is my honor
All
to
right,
collaborate with him. So this is the first call from 2 days ago, or yesterday, or whatever.
Day before yesterday.
Yeah, let's get now. Will he call himself a First Amendment auditor? Is he gonna stick to that,
or a constitutional law scholar?
The tension is killing me.
Well, we'll see how much he's changing things up. The next one ought to be good from the from the thumbnail. Jail's killing him. Just killing him. It's just not good. Damn.
Hello, world. Today's June 29th. By the time you'll hear this, it'll be July 1st, 2024. My name is Chili DeCastro. I'm a journalist. I've been wrongfully imprisoned in the Clark County Detention Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. This is almost the 4th month of me being locked up inside of this dungeon. We are 10 days away from my appeal. The appeal, we have clearly proved our case. We have clearly proved our case. And I should be released. This case should be overturned on appeal. This is a real test right now to see if the judicial system is going to work as it's supposed to work. The way the judicial system is supposed to work is you're supposed to have case precedent that creates case law. In this particular instance, we have the First Amendment, that I have a right to film police. And then we have several cases, Blick versus Cuniff, and more importantly, Wilson versus First District of Nevada
Wilson.
where it clearly establishes that obstruction is a physical act, and that I have to go there to obstruct the police with the intent to hinder, delay, or obstruct them. As you know, I'm a First Amendment auditor. I filmed hundreds of police, and my intent is to get the shot.
There it
Contrary
is.
Contrary to what the biased and unprincipled Judge Ann Zimmerman said, I do not want to get arrested. I do not want the smoke. I want to film the cops. I want them to be able to take on my provocative and challenging language and be able to respect my First Amendment right. That's what I want. So this has been a long and arduous journey. This has been absolutely horrible. My blood pressure is really bad because I'm being fed really horrible food. I'm being treated
how's the
absolutely horrible. There's just no other way to put it. I'm treated just poorly. But I'm not being beaten. I'm not getting hit with hoses or kicked or stomped. So those are positives.
So how are you being treated poorly?
It's not an actual torture chamber where they're beating you. No, it's not that. So at least that is not happening. And people will say to me, and people will say to you, oh, well, go to jail in Mexico or North Korea. Well, if we're comparing America to Mexico or North Korea, well, then we got some big problems, don't we? Because we're supposed to be the land of the brave, the home of the free. And what sucks is that coming up here in just 4 days, will be the 4th of July. And I will be sitting in this dungeon listening to fireworks going off here in Las Vegas as I'm unjustly locked up in the Clark County Detention Center. You know,
I can't
there needs
decide,
to be a constitutional amendment in every state.
Say what?
I said I can't decide if this should have like sad violin music under it or like or some sort of like horror movie, you know, creepy atmospheric type of stuff. Yep. Well, we went down the checklist on journalists unlawfully imprisoned, blah blah blah. Ann Zimmerman is the devil. But again, no constitutional law scholar. I'm thinking this is a tactic to try and
absolutely
to try and associate himself more with the
First
Amendment.
The attention away from that comment.
Well, not only that, but since he's trying to still cling to the First Amendment aspect of this, you know, of his appeal, it's, you know, maybe he's just using that language to, you know,
which blows my mind because
it
got shut down first time. So,
it's not like he's already not. I mean, he testified on the stand that he was a constitutional law scholar already. So I don't know. Who knows though? God, you know what? God knows the real reason when it comes to Chile. So
known around the world.
Yep, just like herpes.
Maybe a constitutional amendment for the United States of America. No victim, no crime, no jail time. And you're a poet and don't even know it. Now I'm not afraid to show it. No victim, no crime, no jail time. Listen, we are 10 days away. You guys are more than welcome to come. It'll be at the district court here in Las Vegas, Nevada, in front of Judge Michelle Levitt. I hope that as many people come as possible.
What do you say,
gang? That if we can. You know, and if they block me at the door, I'm already filing a lawsuit against the other judge for not letting my people come in. And of the dozen people who showed up last time, I have 4 of those people who are going to sign on the lawsuit with me. You cannot bar the public from coming in.
Does this guy do anything without
my public hearing? And that's what dishonorable Ann Zimmerman did at my last hearing. So, look, we're only 10 days away. Real quick shout out to Melissa. Thank you for putting money on my books, Melissa. I appreciate it. I really have survived on the kindness of strangers as I am inside of this dungeon. And I guess that Melissa and Alan, Coke Dog, and Gloria, and P. Boyer, and David, and with Drophead 74, I guess that a lot of you guys are not strangers because you know me inside and out now. I've been talking publicly for almost 3 years. I have 3,000 videos where I've expressed a position that is against this despotic government. So you know my position. You know how I feel. You know what I believe. Those things haven't changed. What has changed is we have to actually implement the change through the legislative process to to make it so that if there's no victim and there's no crime, then there's no jail time.
That should have always been your goal.
A thing. The government wants to put you in jail if they don't like you, and that's what they've done to me here. So when I get out of here, we will file lawsuits. We will file lawsuits against this judge. She's going to have judicial immunity. We're going to see if we can get around her judicial immunity. I've already filed a lawsuit against that copper. And now the prosecutor's going to have to face a lawsuit as well for malicious prosecution. She clearly put me in jail based on a lie because I did back up. She said that I did back up. So she's going to have to face that lawsuit. I mean, she's a prosecutor. She's a lawyer, so she's going to be able to defend it. But we have to push the issue. We continue to fight using our First Amendment right to petition. Petition is your lawsuit. It is your complaint. So we don't stop. We don't stop under any condition. No matter what occurs, we don't stop. 10 days till the appeal. Thank you guys for your support. I'll let you guys go. I'll see you guys on the next one. Later, Gators.
Oh, man. That's funny. Guilty Angel said, did Chili fall into a vat like the Joker? I think maybe so. Yeah, and the chemicals leaked into his brain. Wow. Well, two Ann Zimmerman jabs, and then the details of the lawsuit they're threatening. Does this guy do anything without threatening to sue somebody? I mean, and you think now he realizes any kind of change in governments or policies is going to have to come from the legislative side? I'm glad. Yeah. Thanks for keeping up, Chili. Unbelievable. All right, let's talk now. Let's get into some sensible talk here.
Sensible talk.
Patrick.
Well, hello again. I wanted to talk about Chili's oral argument for his appeal on July 10th. On the first argument that he's raised, ineffective assistance of counsel, he will lose on that. Why? Well, Michael Mee is listed on the notice of appeal as his counsel. He's also listed as the trial counsel for his district court case. So why is Mee still involved if he's this incompetent lawyer? The other argument they made was, well, he filed the brief late because the judge said she didn't see it. The people got it the morning of trial. I don't know what the timing conventions are in Nevada for that. I'm not a Nevada lawyer. I'm just here from California. But most, at least in California, depending on the court you're in, motions in limine and other pretrial motions have timing conventions for them. Sure, the judge knows Michael Mee. It's a small community there, and has probably seen him in action. It doesn't think he's incompetent. If this was trial strategy, especially in California, you're stuck with it. You can't play that card and then say, well, it backfired, so now I want a new trial. I read that brief. I think it was 4 pages. I don't think it would have changed the course of the trial, which is what you need for ineffective assistance of counsel. So again, I think it loses. As far as constitutional speech, again, Chili keeps arguing again and again. He was arrested and charged for filming the cops. Nobody is saying that, but he likes to say that. It doesn't help. It's completely irrelevant. And even the judge and the cop said that filming was okay. It was the proximity and everything else. I don't remember them quoting it or even doing any kind of real analysis. A lot of the stuff they did was just roughshod, superficial stuff that doesn't carry really any weight when you've got all the burden of proof. Is that during their appellate briefing, in their opening brief and their reply brief, they didn't actually cite exactly how, what language was it that was protected as a First Amendment defense. I covered the Wilson decision. All right, so back on April 12th, I discussed Wilson. When you look at the videotape, and Cap Faillia gets all the credit for this, he was the one that put it all together. I documented it here. Chili says to the driver, "You're good." Cop says, "Don't engage with my driver." Then Chili again says, "Why did they say you were pulled over?" Cop, back up, you're not involved. Oh, I see. Cop says, "Okay for filming, but stay away from my driver, back up."
You were pulled over. Oh, I see. Back up. What a back up. You're not involved. Oh, I see. Oh, gotcha. You can film, but you need to stay away from my driver. Back up. Back up, or I'm going to detain you.
Back up, or I'm going to detain you. So even though a lawful order isn't necessary anymore, There it was.
Detain me how? In which way? Actually, I'm standing right here. I'm at least 10 feet away, officer. I got to tell you, I'm a constitutional law scholar. You can do whatever you want, but just understand something. Your name will go on the law, sir. Mind your own.
Now, here's important. I want her to have privacy. So the cop isn't saying that it was a matter of officer safety at this point. That his intent at this point in time, the cops, is privacy, because he's probably exchanging driver's license and insurance information. And he doesn't want some guy with a camera filming all of that. I'll give the cop that. And while this is all going down, he's not focused on the driver now. He's focused on Chili. That to me would be obstruction. Okay. He's hindering, he's delaying. That's part of the statute. Then Chili gets provocative, but that in itself under Wilson would not be grounds for conviction just because he tells the cop to go F himself or whatever.
Fucking business. Not your business. Mind your own business. I'm a member.
It's not your business would be consistent with privacy, not officer safety.
The press, go get in your car and do your job, little doggy. Go feed her. You're being detained right now.
Now, here is basically the command for Chili to stop what he's doing. Now watch what happens.
Detain me. Oh, you're going to detain a journalist? 2015, Rodriguez. Don't put your hands on me. Don't touch me. Don't put your fucking hands on me.
I am going to put my hands on
No, you're not.
Now, at this point, you could easily say this is resisting arrest, but the cop said, I'm detaining you for obstruction. So because the statutes are worded so badly, they both have the words obstruct in them, and they both have the word, I think, delays. You know, whether it's an obstruction, whether it's resisting, I don't know. But since the cop said detaining for obstruction, we got to go with that right now.
2015.
Come over here to my car.
No.
Come over here.
No.
Okay, so no, second time. That's enough in my book to get him on the obstruction. The resisting is another series of things that happen, which happened with trying to handcuff him and everything. I'm not going to cover all of that because I don't want to make this video into an hour. And I took a look at the actual statutes themselves, went over the backgrounds of everything. I did this one back on November 2nd, 2023. So this was a long time ago. And I analyzed both statutes. And the statutes have problems with them because of how overbroad they are. However, Wilson has said that the obstruction charge is not unconstitutional because they took a hatchet to it to try to save the statute by making the specific intent. So back on November 2nd, I analyzed and looked at these statutes, 197.190, and notice that it says that it includes hinder, delay, or obstruct. You're going to see the words delay and obstruct in the resisting arrest statute, which is why these statutes are so bad. They have overlapping language. For resisting a public officer, it is resist, which is fine, then delays or obstruct. So the resisting includes obstruction. That's ridiculous. That's language that overlaps another charge. So you're obstructing, then you could be liable for resisting arrest. If you obstruct, you could be liable for obstruction. I didn't see really any of that discussed in the appellate briefs, and it's a glaring mistake. Still, these statutes are not going to be declared unconstitutional by the district court. It's not its role to do that. It's going to have to certify it to the appellate court or above to get that to be handled. So let's take a look at another video I did where I brought up these things. And I didn't see any of these cases cited in any of the briefs. First, I did this video on November 2nd, 2023. And it's the Scott versus First Judicial District. Now, this one came from the district court of Nevada, a district judge. So that meant, and this case, by the way, was a conviction in the justice court. So to those who say that you can't appeal beyond the justice court and that you can only appeal to the district court, that's not true because that's not what happened here. All right. Anyway, in this instance, the district judge, there were some constitutional questions, obviously. This one all the way to the Supreme Court over whether or not a local ordinance was unconstitutionally overbroad. And it was, because basically it left it up to the cop to decide whether or not to bust you. I didn't see anyone analyze any of this. They also didn't mention the Silvar versus 8th Judicial District Nevada case. See, these briefs on both sides are going to a lot of trouble to cite all this out-of-circuit authority when there are cases right here that they're missing. that I have found. How do you like that? North Nevada Co. versus Meninci. This case was not discussed at all that I saw in any of the briefs. Scott basically was pissing off the deputy sheriff and saying things like, hey, you know what? My dad's a lawyer. So they got him for obstruction. They invalidated they invalidated the local ordinance. And then Heibel, I found this case and I've seen nobody discuss it on either side. Heibel basically said, we don't agree with the Ninth Circuit. Officer safety is paramount. That's why I said back in December or November that officer safety would be the grounds by which they convict Chili. And that's exactly what they did, because that's the cases that actually give substance to these statutes, because they talk about all the officers that die in the line of duty. So they're going to protect them over privacy concerns. And that's where they split with the Ninth Circuit. I didn't see anyone discuss this case, even though I found it. We think that officer safety is a legitimate reason. And so 199.280 was discussed in Heibel by the Supreme Court, and I don't see any briefing on that. So these statutes would, if they found their way up, and by the way, Kerry versus Nevada Gaming Control Boards, you can see I highlighted a Nevada case where the Ninth Circuit made a decision on this, not discussed at all in the briefing. Ironically, they're mentioning Terry v. Ohio, which is Chili's favorite law that he wants to invalidate. This case talked about Terry. Officer safety, you'll see that the cop said that privacy was the concern, but the default will be officer safety. That's what Judge Zimmerman said. That's what the cop said. I didn't see much impeachment about the cop on that, because that to me was a very important point. The videotape doesn't shows a state of mind at the cop's the beginning of his interaction with Chili, and yet on the stand he went with a completely different idea, which is the 21-foot rule. You know, if you have 21-foot long subways and you string them together, it's 21 feet. So we'll get next now to judicial bias, a losing argument. I told you this the day he was convicted. I wrote it. I did another video, and some of you guys were like, "What are you talking about? How would you not want to bring that up?" Let me just say this: as a guy who's written appellate briefs, when you want to attack a judge, you are on thin ice, because there's a presumption that the judge is not going to be biased, a very strong presumption. And you need to have really clear evidence. She gave mid-range sentences. 6 months could have been strung together in 1 year. I also said back in November, and you can look at the videotape, I predicted that he would be convicted, at least on the resisting charge. The obstruction was always an iffy charge to me. But now that we've got the Wilson case, the obstruction to me is a foregone conclusion. And on top of that, I also warned that they could string the sentences together, and they did. The judges have discretion to run their courtroom as they want to run it.
I run my unit how I run my unit. You want to investigate me, roll the dice and take your chances. I eat breakfast 300 yards from 4,000 trifles who are trained
for me.
So don't think for 1 second that you can come down here, flash a
petition,
make me nervous.
And, you know, when he was given a thumbs up during sentencing, do I think that that added to the time? Yes, I do. The people were looking for a 90-day suspended sentence, no jail. Now, Chili's best argument, and he could have excused it for not being part of the record, was the fact that he said he found 6 exact cases. Now, I don't know if that's true. I'm just telling you what he said. You've heard it. And he said that she only gave, you know, like classes, and then his words, it would fall off your record. Well, if that's true, that would have been a hell of an important thing to augment the record, where you add additional evidence that you have to be part of the appeal, and it would go to the bias charge. But still, I think he's going to lose on the bias charge completely. So we'll see. I'll maybe talk to you next week.
All right, but no jokes. No jokes.
Well,
thank you, Yvonne, my dear. Much appreciated. I hope everything's going well for you across the pond.
How does your garden grow?
Her garden grows wonderfully. I've seen pictures of her garden. It is one hell of a garden.
Nice.
Her entire yard is nothing but cool, ornate plants, all manicured, and shaped, and yeah, it's really cool.
Nice.
It really is. All right, let me.
Well, so
dig
Chili
here for a second.
continues to be an amateur.
Yep,
Oh man, I mean, he just
that's never going to change.
can't seem to help but dig himself further and further in, and that's just because he's out of his depth, man. Again, it just goes back to he really just needs to find another hobby, perhaps gardening. Take it on.
Yeah, Vaughn could teach him gardening.
Yep. So
Oh,
yeah,
goodness.
I had wondered about that. The data scraping they said they did on it, and but like Pat just said, there's nothing in the appeal regarding any of that. So a lot of talk. Imagine that from Chile.
Billy, yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you, Vaughn.
So now this looks exciting.
Right.
Jailing is failing. Here's a solution. I can't even
imagine
what this is gonna be. I mean, this has got to be just gold. But
Maybe.
I'm a little bit frightened. I'll admit it.
Might be context for his board game.
May not be the same after this.
Jailing is failing. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
All right.
Let's get it going.
Hello, world. Today is July 1st, 2024. My name is Chili DeCastro. I am a journalist and First Amendment auditor. I've been wrongfully imprisoned in the Clark County Detention Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've been here since March 19th, 2024. I was charged with obstruction for filming a cop. And then the biased and unprincipled judge, Ann Zimmerman, then sentenced me to jail, 6 months in jail, for filming a cop. No victim, no crime, no restitution due, no damage done, but yet she still put me in jail.
I thought he was going to use his little slogan there.
This is my daily journalistic update. Right now, we are 9 days away. Today is July 1st. You may not hear this till July 2nd or July 3rd, but today's July 1st. We will have an appeal hearing, finally, in front of Michelle Levitt in the district court on July 10th, 2024. I've been in here for so long, it's unbelievable. The system of jailing people in America has to be examined. Let me ask you a very intelligent question. You can use your basic logic to answer. Why isn't there a text message service? If you miss a court date, or you miss your child support payment, or you didn't pay a ticket, or whatever it may be, why you're going to get a warrant, why isn't there a text message service? Why can't the state, the county, the city, why can't they send you a text message and say, hey, John Smith, you have a warrant. You didn't show up for your child support hearing. Do you want to come in on this date, or this date? Why isn't there a text message service? Additionally, if you're going to be put in jail, why can't you have 24 to 72 hours to get your affairs in order? When that dirty Judge Zimmerman put me in jail, she then put me in jail immediately, directly from the courtroom. I didn't have time to get my business affairs in orders. 3 people lost their jobs because she put me in jail immediately. Why do you have to be arrested from the street and taken immediately to the dungeon? Why does your car need to be impounded? Let's say, for example, that you have a warrant for an unpaid traffic ticket. An unpaid traffic ticket. Follow me here? Okay, you get pulled over and they say you didn't pay a traffic ticket, you got a warrant. You didn't get a text message, you never got a warning that there was a warrant. And by the way, the automated text messaging system could warn you morning, noon, and night. You have a warrant. If a cop runs your license plate, they're going to pull you over, impound your car, and you're going to go to jail. If there's a text messaging service, then the second part of this message that I'm leaving for you now would not be as valid. If there was only a text messaging service. And remember, you get automated text from every kind of business in the world. During the pandemic, how many text messages did you get on your phone telling you that 2 million Californians were going to die? Why can't you get a text message? But let's say, for example,
I didn't get
you
one.
didn't get a text message. You get pulled over, you didn't pay a traffic ticket, make it to your child support hearing. And then what happens? The cop says, you got a warrant for your arrest. So listen, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you 48 hours to get your affairs in order. Go park your car. Go tell your boss you're not coming to work. Go talk to your wife. Get your banking in order. Get your children lined out so that you have someone to watch your children. And then come and check in at the police
Take an Uber to the border.
Jail. But I want to go with the Australian method. Jailing is failing. It is not making our society better or safer. How's the crime report in your city, state, or town? How's the crime report? Crime's never been worse. So locking up people for minor infractions of the law, for not showing up for court, for whatever it may be, it's not making our society better. What it is making is a group called GEO Group or Core Civic. These are the prison and industrial systems that they have now made multi-billion-dollar corporations based on taking you to jail. If there's a text messaging service, then you're not going to go to jail, because then you get a text message that says, hey, John Smith, you missed your court date on April 8th. Are you available on April 21st, April 22nd, or April 23rd? It can all be
well,
done
you're making
by
a hair
artificial
appointment.
intelligence. You put, I'm available April 22nd. Great. We have slots available at 8 a.m. or noon. Which one can you make? Noon. Great. Hey, John, we are confirmed. If you miss court again, they're going to come to your work. They're going to come and impound your car. They're going to take you to jail. Do you understand the consequences of missing again? Yes, I do. And then, ready for this? Can you imagine this? A text message comes in every day, once or twice a day, whether you like it or not, telling you that you have court on April 22nd at noon. Could you imagine that? And the text message service could all be done through automation. Can you imagine it? You wouldn't have to lock people up. You wouldn't have to steal their cars. You wouldn't have to put their kids in a horrible position. They'd be able to get their banking done. They'd be able to check in with their boss and say, hey, look, I'm in trouble. I got to go deal with this legal system stuff. But then you know what would happen?
Yeah, you'd be reminded of the warrant you forgot about.
Yeah.
I mean, think of the nefarious ones now. I'm not talking about your basic parking ticket stuff, but come on. He's still going on that whole automated camera system of law enforcement crap. That's right down the same alley.
Yeah.
Less people would
Speak?
Oh, no.
Okay.
go to jail dramatically. A dramatic amount of people less would go to jail. And you know what that would do? That would cut
Yeah, script cat. Yeah, live happily ever after.
and they don't want that. But when I get out of here, I'm going to write a bill, and I'm going to put it into the committee. I'm going to submit it to the different Congress people in Nevada and in California, and we're going to get a text message service done for people so that if you miss court or you have a warrant, you get a warning. You get several warnings. And then if you get pulled over by the cops, just step one here is the text message service. Step two is you get pulled over, you have a warrant, and then the copper says, okay, look, you got a warrant, but here's what we're going to do. Going to give you 48 hours to get your affairs in order. Go park your car, take an Uber down to the jail, and you're going to have to check in. Or come down in 48 hours with the money that you owe for your ticket or for your child support. Could you imagine that? Giving somebody 48 hours to get the money together.
Oh, yeah.
To flee.
Yeah, give Kaiser time to scope out the neighborhood.
Exactly.
Infraction of the law. Could you imagine that? Oh my goodness. Could you only imagine it? Giving them 48 hours. They owe $5,800 on child support that's not paid. Now you got 48 hours to run around like a madman. Or you go check yourself into the jail in 48 hours. Could you imagine? And then the women who have the children that need the child.
Yeah, right, Mag D5. Yeah, you see a lot of those videos. The cops will say, what were you running for? Well, I thought I had a warrant. No, you don't have a warrant. It's like, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if, I mean, if you have some sort of interaction with the court, there's methods to stay abreast of that. I'd imagine, I can't imagine, it's not like.
Well, there's certain things you got to be responsible for.
Yeah. I mean, so he's just.
And your freedom should be one.
Look, and I'm not against like more efficient means of operating things. Although,
I can give you a dozen reasons why that would be a mess.
But I know I'm saying Chili's out in dream world with it, but I mean,
Just add another
Seriously.
confusion to NCIC
But
entries.
he's also just, wanting more like hand holding, I guess. I mean, break, dude.
Babysitting, yes.
Yeah.
Child support money would get it. And instead, you're putting someone in jail who cannot go collect $5,800. They can't do it because they're in a dungeon. You took away their phone so they can't reach their employer. They lose their job. They're 1 month behind on their car payment already. Now they're 2. Now their car gets stolen, put in the impound yard. Now it's going to be repossessed. You ruin their life over a traffic ticket or unpaid.
No, the courts are generally really kind about giving you more time on your sentence in lieu of money. So
yeah, if you're not antagonistic to the judge and you like, well, Your Honor, I have 3 kids at home or something, like, you know what I mean? They don't just fucking haul you off and haul you off. But he's trying to equate himself. I mean, he's
delusional as usual.
Yeah.
Child support. We've got to get to a place where the government works for the people, not against us, for the big corporations of Geo Group and CoreCivic. That's where we have to get. We have to get a text message service. If you miss court or you have a warrant, that you get a warning. Could you only imagine that? Amazing, isn't it? Amazing. You can actually work for the people. I just read a book called Bully Pulpit. The book is about the relationship between Teddy Roosevelt and William Howard Taft. And I have to retract some things I've said about Taft. I learned a lot about it. It's a 750-page book. So I read it. I'm in the dungeon. I got nothing but time. So I read the book. Now, let me tell you something. Taft and both Theodore Roosevelt had a vision that the government worked for the people. So remember, Teddy Roosevelt's going to be president from 1901 to 1909. And then after him, William Howard Taft is going to be president from 1909 to 1913. This was the very first progressives, what we would call liberal democratic progressives, are what Teddy Roosevelt and William Howard Taft would be back then. Back then, corporations weren't regulated at all. There was no income tax. The income tax wasn't passed until suggested by Taft in 1909, and then it passed with the 16th Amendment in, I think it was 1913. So 1917. Anyway, the point is this. These gentlemen, both of them, Theodore Roosevelt and William Howard Taft, had the vision that the government worked for the people, that it worked to benefit the people. The idea of Social Security and insurance and a safety net for people was first figured out by Theodore Roosevelt, not Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Franklin Delano Roosevelt then worked on what his relative 40 years earlier was pushing forward, and then Franklin Delano Roosevelt got Social Security put in place for us today. How many people out there right now have SSI, Social Security insurance? A government that works for the people. And this is exactly what I'm suggesting now. I see myself as what you would call a classic liberal. I may not agree with a word you have to say, but I'll die for the right to be able to say it. I have a vision that there is a social safety net, but we're not going anywhere near socialism or communism. That's ridiculous. I mean, any intelligent person does not want socialism or communism. We've seen it around the world. It doesn't work. But here's the point. We need a government that works for the people. Right now, I've met several men in this jail who were arrested for child support. I met a guy who didn't make his child support hearing. He had an unpaid traffic ticket, so they sent the cops to his work where he's the supervisor.
So if only he'd have gotten a text message. Chili's right.
Yep.
What happened, buddy?
Oh, sorry. I was reading. I'm sorry.
He runs a crew of 6 dudes. They arrested him in front of his crew. He had to leave his tools right there on the concrete slab, and they took him to the dungeon. He was up to date on his child support payments, so he didn't go to the hearing because he's up to date on his child support hearings. But apparently, if you don't show up for a hearing, then that's arrestable. He had an unpaid ticket as well. To be fair, I'm going to interview him when I get out. But it's not the point. Why couldn't he get a...
You have 1 minute left.
Why couldn't he get a text message that said, hey, Arthur, you didn't make the hearing and you have an unpaid traffic ticket. You got a warrant for your arrest. What date can you make court? That's what I'm talking about. A government that works for the people. And it starts first with a text messaging service, a text messaging center, an alert center that works for the people so that we're not arresting people, impounding their car, and ruining their lives. We are 9 days away from my appeal, 9 days away, July 10th. Pray for me. If you can make the appeal hearing, I'd love to see you. Thank you guys so much for your support. You can't imagine. From the money on my books to the eye care gift packages you guys have sent me, thank you. I appreciate you. I love you. I'll see you on the next one. Later, Gators.
Oh, man.
Jeez.
Well, he did not
Another
disappoint.
great idea from Chili.
Oh, my God. Why do we keep doing this to ourselves?
Yeah, I don't know. Don Shipley.
Don Shipley.
Yeah, he just popped up on my notifications.
I see. Yeah, well, that was wacky as ever. Yeah, I mean, he's not, Chili's not like entirely incorrect about some things, some concepts he talks about, like jails being for profit. There is, for sure, that's something I do not agree should, or at least regulated differently, there's bad cops, of course. But Chili has no idea of the magnitude of the things he's talking about, the concepts, like he doesn't even possess any of the skill sets that would enable him to make the kind of changes he's describing. You know what I mean? He's just too busy trying to be the hero in his own movie, Yeah. So, I mean, it's just laughable.
Yeah, if you can't follow emotions, certainly you can't follow through with anything.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
that.
he's making himself out to be Mr. Self-taught legal expert man, and he's in jail, and he really shouldn't. I mean, if he has all the skills he describes, he shouldn't be there, right?
Absolutely. I mean,
So-
look what the state recommended. Like Patrick said,
Yeah.
90 days suspended. If
he could have just taken a plea. I think, and avoided the whole thing. I heard that, so I'm not 100%, but
he's a constitutional law scholar.
But yeah, you're right. Look at the recommended sentence from the state. I still think he should have gotten anger management classes. I honestly think that would have been the most useful thing for him. But again, who knows if again, you just can't tell the guy anything.
Yeah, I don't know, Andrew. That's a good question. I wonder what did happen to Chili's car, because I don't think that one was in his name anyway, was it?
Well, and the other thing is, I don't know what to tell Chili. Like he could have asked for these things, like, Your Honor, I need 3. You know what I mean? He didn't do that because he was just being such an emotional wreck at the time. I don't know. Who knows if he'd been more civil and said, listen, 3 people are going to lose their jobs, or I need, but I'm sure they must give you some opportunity. I mean, at least like having a lawyer, having me like get in contact with other people and at least his family, and then somebody could have come down. Chili could have given him instructions on things, but I don't know. I don't think it's
He doesn't deserve it.
Only
Only because civility doesn't fit into his mold.
Yeah, exactly. But what do I know? I do know I need to get going. Unfortunately, I've got a bit of a panic on my hands here. try
Right.
and straighten out. So,
Get in touch with me off of your other line.
yeah, the bat phone,
Well, yeah, the Miss Bat phone.
the Dickbag hotline.
Yeah, the Dickbag hotline.
All right, I gotta get on this.
I'll send light signals.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Hope you have a good night.
Make sure you do, though. Okay.
Yeah, and everybody, make sure you go over and watch Patrick's video over there as well. Give him a sub and a like if you haven't.
Yep. Give him some traffic. Oh, by the way, it's 7,000 subs the other day.
Oh yeah, that's right. Congratulations.
And popped the 2 million view mark.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well
Creeping
done.
along.
Yes.
All right.
All right, gang.
Say hey to Mrs. Dickbag.
Yeah, she may or may not kill me later, depending on how this situation goes right now.
Right.
So,
Well, again,
if you don't hear from me, that's why.
Using that resource, get in touch with me.
All right.
All right.
So long, everybody.
Later, buddy. Okay. So, yeah, I spent a good part of last night putting together quite the video, and when I uploaded it today, YouTube just came down on me like a ton of bricks. Like I said, I had 13 clips, and out of 13, 14 of them survived. The rest of them were either blocked, copyright struck. Oh, well. So I thought what I'd do is wait till the end of the evening. And that way, if I get timed out and get in trouble, it's at the end of the show. So the video that I put out, a little different, and I've done a few videos like that before, and the reason that one is important to me is it literally is in my backyard. And this let me find the damn thing. I can pull it up. This Joe Beers, who was the arresting cop in Oilton, I did a little research on this guy, and he literally worked for close to 6-7 years without even being certified, cleat certified. He was actually an officer with Inola, which is about 3 or 4 times the size of Oilton, a little bit closer to the Tulsa metro area. And I believe that's in Rogers County. Yeah, it's in Rogers County. And he had of course, he left there. They put him in class to get cleat certified after he was already 6 months out on the road. And they had a lawsuit filed by a young lady that he pulled over one night. And in the back seat of the patrol car, he proceeded to make a proposal to her that he would allow her to call and get a ride home for a little feely, that kind of thing. Well, they ended up settling out of court. So, getting a hold of all the specifics about that, next to impossible. But this seems to be a problem in these smaller departments. The police chief, as it was pointed out. Now, the guy that I got the information, the video from, is a local attorney in Tulsa. He's also a borderline frauder. He's not as well, I guess he is. He's probably just better at it because he's law trained. He was a lawyer. Now his law license has been suspended by the Oklahoma bar for an assault charge that he got in the courthouse. What was it? March, April, something like that. I don't have the stuff in front of me. I probably should pull it up. I want to be more specific about it. Well, basically watch the video because I didn't leave anything out. If you Google Joe Beers, Bers, and just put in police and then maybe Oklahoma behind it, you're gonna get hits all over the place, and you'll be able to see this guy's no good. Then the police chief over there at OILTON, as it turns out, he's got a little chomo problem, and he's got a active protective order against him right now. He had charges filed against him for assaulting his wife and stepdaughter. Then it comes to the mayor, and then the mayor also had an embezzlement charge of $8,000. So the whole town was basically pretty shady, to say the least. Let me see if I can like to pull that one news story up. It's pretty good. Give me a second here. Put this guy in. His last name. Oh yeah, it was so I'll give you all a guess which national anthems that were sung at sporting events are blocked worldwide, copyright strike. You can't hardly even play it for yourself without getting in trouble. And that would be Hudson, Jennifer Hudson. The other one was Whitney Houston. But then you go down the lines and you find some that, don't have any copyright on them, which I thought was pretty cool, like Huey Lewis and the News and Metallica. Actually did an interesting one. I think it was in the late 80s at a baseball game, I think. Okay, so here we go. Can be why are they pulling that up? Let's see here. Oh, that's right. That's because that's YouTube, not Google. Yeah, here it is. Let me see if I can. ATUL, Oklahoma, and I believe that the one that was the most informative was the CBS affiliate, I believe. Yeah, and this guy ran for re-election of mayor while he had an embezzlement charge out there. And got re-elected. Oh, goodness. So this is 2018. There we go. Finally. There we go. So this is the mayor of OILTON, Oklahoma. And I thought it had a video with it. Yeah, it does. That's got advertising on it. I guess they're all going to have advertising on them. No, that's bullshit. That's hogwash. So I could have sworn it had a, they want you to subscribe. I'm not going to do it. Sorry. Isn't going to happen. I thought it was the Fox affiliate. Maybe not. Let's see here. Patrick Hayes. Well, arrested for official misconduct. That was a separate charge. So yeah, same mayor. And this is the case where the 76-year-old Vietnam vet. There were a lot of people that made comments that, you know, that guy was out of line. You have to remember that when you're standing on your own property in Oklahoma, I don't know if it's that way in every state, most it should be. Law enforcement has no business on your property without a warrant or unless there's an imminent threat of life. And he had every right in the world to tell him to leave. And he had told him to leave a dozen times. Now, they were nitpicking over the property line, and Linda is here. And Linda, her and I love the easement argument. Utility easements go over personal property. The property is not owned by the company. It's owned by you, and the easement goes over your property. And chances are his property line went all the way to the bar ditch anyway, and most of them do. But anyway, there was a few people that thought that he was totally out of line the way he was talking. And I don't condone him telling him he's going to take his head off, but I thought it was kind of funny. This 6'4" or 5, 75-year-old Vietnam vet. And and it's hard to find a picture of Joe Beers. He's kind of a little guy, but okay. So in this one, OSBI investigates the allegation against Patrick Leon Kennedy. Kennedy's the town's mayor and supervisor of OILTON Public Works. Yeah. He needed to spend $8,000. So what he did was he approved $8,000 worth of work. Got a couple people that he knew. Said that they did the work, they cashed the checks and split the money. Now, it doesn't get any crappier than that. And why in the world they thought they could get away with that? Eventually, it's going to come up in an audit somewhere. And he ran for mayor and got reelected during all that. Anyway, I can't find any goddamn videos on that. So hold on here a second. Let me go to this other one. And then the police chief, so Ron Durbin is a local attorney, and he's got a YouTube channel called Guerrilla Publishing. And he does get stuff done. He's got access to get well, he's an attorney, so he knows how to gather information. And he pretty much went after these guys and exposed all this. So I had to give him credit for that. I don't know him personally. I recognize him. I probably crossed paths with him because I spent a lot of time downtown for a lot of years. But I don't know the man. So anyway, let me see if I can find this on YouTube. That's funny. I could have sworn there was a whole bunch there, but maybe not. There we go. Oklahoma Senator makes despite orders the mayor run again. Here's a news story with the guy. Okay, present, share screen. Okay. Let's watch this little news cap here.
for another term, despite the fact he's currently charged with embezzlement and receiving kickbacks as mayor.
A judge has ordered Patrick Kennedy to stand trial, but he says he's not guilty.
News on 6's Sawyer Bussey went to OILTON to talk with Kennedy.
The Creek County District Attorney's Office tells me that Patrick Kennedy is within his right to run for public office because even though he's been charged with 3 felonies, he has not been convicted of one. Patrick Kennedy has been OILTON's mayor the past 8 years.
I've done a lot of stuff for the town. I'm paving the roads and getting new water lines put in.
Now he's running again, despite facing 3 felony charges.
I do care about this town, and I would never hurt the town. Never.
An affidavit says Kennedy is accused of embezzling more than $1,000 from the city. The affidavit also says Kennedy received almost $3,000 in kickbacks from city contractors. Kennedy says he's innocent and still the best person to serve the people of OILTON.
I did what I was told that I could do by state departments. Just small town politics.
Kenneth Graham says the charges against Kennedy are part of the reason he wants the town's top job.
It's just not right. It wouldn't be right for our town to have an official like that in office.
Graham says there are trust issues between elected officials and OILTON residents, a problem he hopes to do something about if he's elected.
And through the input of people, our wonderful people of this town, we can make this town successful for many generations to come.
The Creek County Election Board tells me the acting mayor, Steve Arnold, is also running for office. Arnold says that the people of OILTON are looking for leadership. In Creek County, Sawyer Bussey.
Okay, so he was charged and he was convicted. So, but he ran during that. Now, let me pull this other one up here. It gave me time while that was playing. It gave me time to go snag this real quick. Okay, so now this is Ron Durbin. He's an attorney in Tulsa. He has his office in the Greenwood district, which is a historic district in Tulsa. If anybody's familiar with the any of the movies based upon or books based upon the race riots of 1921, that was the Greenwood district. And they've really done, the city's done a nice job. Well, actually, the Greenwood district has done a nice job of renovating and bringing that area back to life. So let me get this up here. So where we're going to pop in here is where he goes into the city clerk's office to get a FOIA request. And I'm not going to play that because it's just pretty typical refusal, which they were in the wrong for doing that, but it's the way it is. Okay, here we go.
To Oklahoma, as young as 16 years old.
Well, today, the former police chief of
his hands behind his back and refused to do so. Finally, Stout states, it is unfortunate that these events had to take place, but it is the opinion of this department that Sergeant Beers acted accordingly based on training and officer safety as a full-time state of Oklahoma CLEAT certified police officer.
In investigating Chief Carl Stout, we found a trail of victimized women from Georgia to Texas to Oklahoma, as young as 16 years old.
Well, today, the former police chief of OILTON was arrested for domestic assault. Carl Stout is accused of hitting his now ex-wife in the face and grabbing his 2 stepkids by the throat. Police say it happened in November 2019. Stout was placed on administrative leave after his current wife also accused him of domestic abuse. He resigned as police chief earlier this month.
Carl Stout was using his powers as police chief to hurt all these different women, including stalking and sexually assaulting a 16-year-old. Here's a brief summarization of what she wrote in her police report.
Carl drives by my house, comes to my work threatening me, and will not leave me alone. He came to my work screaming at me to find out if I had said anything to anyone. I have sexual assault charges pressed against him. He got me out of the ticket one night and he keeps telling me that I owe him. He stalks me continuously.
I had an anonymous source send me a list of names of women that he's had relationships with. Some of the names on that list are as young as 15, and some of them are 40 plus. But he rates them by if they're single or married, if they had big breasts, and if they were any good or not. And he had tried to make comment and say, oh, that list came out when I kept that list before I was an adult. Well, that's weird because that paper's copyright dated. It says it's from 96. And those that know the man know that in 96, he was definitely in his 20s. I've talked to women that only dealt with him for 3 or 4 years, and they've told me it's going to change their life forever, the things that he's put them through. Showing up on dates, they leave him and go on a date with a new guy, and he shows up and sits 10 feet away and just watches them. That wouldn't make me feel very good. So if they don't terminate him, it's truly my belief that he'll resign and he'll end up in another small town police department with 1,000 to 5,000 people as their population, where they're desperate for help. And he'll continue to do the things that he's done for the last 25 years.
Yeah, this is my beef. And this is where I'm going to become a little active locally here. Something's got to be done. Even if you're not CLEAT certified, something has to be done about these small communities hiring these officers that skip around from town to town to town to town and state to state. I mean, this guy came from Georgia. Ideally, you would like to see a small community like that have a local or someone that has roots and family. Now you're talking about towns of 800, 1,000, 1,500 people, and not everybody can be a Chief Tuttle, so. But it would be nice. But something has to be done about this, because in this case, if Joe Beers, Sergeant, excuse me, he was a Sergeant Joe Beers, wouldn't have thrown this long time member of the community down like that, and if an issue wouldn't have been raised about it, they might have gone on, because everybody was scared of this sheriff. The question was posed, why something wasn't said. Well, I have a lot of females in this chat right now, and I know that you'll say, obviously they're scared to death. Yeah, Frank, this guy was in Texas too. He was in Texas before he came to Oklahoma. He went Georgia, Texas, and then Oklahoma. They pop around these small towns. And in this case, it unraveled not only corruption by the chief, the mayor as well. I mean, I don't care if you take a plea or if you're convicted by a judge or convicted by a jury. You take a plea, to me, you're guilty. Now, there are stipulations there. They can be, where they can suspend it and so on and so forth. They have a lot of leeway in that kind of stuff. But it's just still crooked. I mean, the guy's still crooked. But anyway, watch this for the people in here that haven't seen this. Yeah, how about that? How about old Carl? And here we are. Find out here in a few minutes. Let's get back to it.
During our investigation, by the time we got to this point, we're all asking one question. I know I was. I'll just speak for myself here. I was asking one question. Who hired this guy? Why did they hire him? So I looked at who hired him, which is Mayor Patrick Kennedy of OILTON, Oklahoma. And the first Google search I did on him was that he was convicted for embezzling from the same town that he's currently mayor of.
Investigators at the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation are sure Kennedy embezzled more than $8,000 from the city.
We have ample evidence, more than ample evidence, to arrest him. We did that. He concocted a scheme to hire 2 people who work for the OILTON Public Works Authority to do some work, give him an invoice at contractor prices. He would have those approved. He would approve them, and have those paid to these two individuals.
Then those two people turned around and cashed the checks and split the money with Kennedy. Now those two are witnesses for the state. They weren't charged after coming forward with their stories. Kennedy is charged with 1 count of embezzlement and 2 counts of receiving a kickback.
The $8,000 is not a large amount, but it doesn't matter the amount because this is taxpayers' dollars. And 8,000 here, 10,000 there, it all adds up. And we need to make a point. You cannot do this.
The mayor of Oilton is running for another term, despite the fact he's currently charged with embezzlement and receiving kickbacks as mayor.
A judge has ordered Patrick Kennedy to stand trial, but he says he's not guilty.
News on 6's Sawyer Bussey went to Oilton to talk with Kennedy.
The Creek County District Attorney's Office tells me that Patrick Kennedy is within his right to run for public office because even though he's been charged with 3 felonies, he has not been convicted of one. Patrick Kennedy has been Oilton's mayor the past 8 years.
I've done a lot of stuff for the town. I'm paving the roads and getting new water lines put in.
Now he's running again, despite facing 3 felony charges.
I do care about this town, and I would never hurt the town. Never.
An affidavit says Kennedy is accused of embezzling more than $1,000 from the city. The affidavit also says Kennedy received almost $3,000 in kickbacks from city contractors. Kennedy says he's innocent and still the best person to serve the people of Oilton.
I did what I was told that I could do by state departments. Just small town politics.
Kenneth Graham says the charges against Kennedy are part of the reason he wants the town's top job.
It's just not right. It wouldn't be right for our town to have an official like that in office.
Graham says there are trust issues between elected officials and Oilton residents, a problem he hopes to do something about if he's elected.
And through the input of people, our wonderful people of this town, we can make this town successful for many generations to come.
The Creek County Election Board tells me the acting mayor, Steve Arnold, is also running for office. Arnold says that the people of Oilton are looking for leadership. In Creek County, Sawyer Bussey, Oklahoma's own News on 6.
Patrick Kennedy received a deferred sentence conviction for embezzling money from Oilton, Oklahoma, where he would meet guys at the cemetery and make money exchanges. After Mayor Patrick Kennedy's deferred sentence, the conviction was expunged, but you would think that the DA would have put a provision in there that said, hey, you can't run for office again.
Absolutely.
You've been convicted of embezzling from a town. Yes, we're willing to do a deferment, a 3-year deferment, and expunge this, but part of that punishment is you're not going to be able to run for office anymore. And they didn't do that. And then he ran for office, got elected, because apparently there's one thing there's a lot of in Oilton besides corruption, and that's Kennedy's. So during this point where I'm learning about Mayor Patrick Kennedy, I learned that Irvon Stout, the police chief of Oilton, Oklahoma, now has another protective order filed on it. So immediately I requested it from the court clerk's office, got copies of it, and we drove as a team out to Oilton to hand it to a couple of people.
Our investigation into the city of Oilton led us to Police Chief Carl Stout. And our investigation into Police Chief Carl Stout has led us here to the Creek County Sheriff's Department, where we're going to hand them a copy of a protective order that was issued against Chief Carl Stout. We're going to ask them to go serve Chief Carl Stout, take his guns away from him as it orders, and we're going to go out there and serve him as well. So that's what we're here for. Let's go do it. There's the police chief out there, and we're about to go take him a copy of this. And it says he's not supposed to have guns and things. So I wanted to see if maybe you guys wanted to come serve him and take his guns. He might shoot me when I go show him this stuff. He might not be very happy. I'm going to go out there and take him it. It won't be an official service, but somebody needs to serve him and take his guns from him as the court ordered. So I brought y'all some copies of it. Oh, I'm with my own company. We're investigative journalists. I'm going to go out there and see Carl, then I'm going to call y'all again on the phone and be like, here, I found the man, come serve him. So just understand, if I get shot, it's going to be because y'all didn't want to go serve this man, which is y'all's job. So, I mean, if you see me in the hospital next, I don't think that's going to make y'all look very good, but let them know that y'all wouldn't do your job. Thank you for that.
While they waited at the front desk of the police department.
That's one of the only things that I don't care about Ron Durbin that much and stuff like that, because it makes him sound like a frauder. And he borderline is outside the fact he's not the kind of guy that Well, I don't know. I mean, he's got an assault charge on a security guard in the courthouse, in Tulsa County Courthouse. And when he showed up on the steps of the courthouse to, I believe he was going in for a hearing or something, and they didn't want to let the whole crowd in behind him, said that he could enter, only him. He could only enter, and he couldn't bring his entourage in behind him. And he said, no, I'll just stay outside. And then they arrested him on the steps. So, yeah, he's kind of rubbed some people the wrong way. But when it comes to the investigative end, I mean, he has certainly panned out some interesting stuff. And it's going to be interesting to see where this goes from there. I really think they need to change. There just has to be a statute. There has to be something put in place to not allow these cops to hop all over the country and just keep doing the same thing over and over and over. I mean, once they start, I wouldn't suspect they're going to stop.
Refused to do anything about the protective order or let Ron talk to a cop. A police officer overheard us and came out saying that he would serve him with the protective order. While we know he didn't give it to him the same day, we do not know whether they followed through with this or not.
You mean order to remove a firearm? Sheriff can take the firearm away from. The sheriff's got the power to take the firearm away from anybody in our state. But as far as ordering it done, I mean, in that, and he's got the protective order, the paperwork, it says he cannot have firearms. So that is from a judge, but is actually removing them. Any law enforcement officer can fulfill the orders of the court. Yeah. State legislatures need to pony up and get it started from that direction of on, and then you're not going to get anything done. You have to start local, and then would have to work its way up. I mean, it's so pitiful. I think about the times that I emailed my representative 18, 20 years ago, and I would get better than a generic response, and hell, I'm fortunate to get anything but just a recognition that they received it anymore.
But later we did see Stout with the protective order in his hand, meaning that maybe the Creek County Sheriff's Department.
Scott Frazier, a sheriff, is the only elected law enforcement officer. He actually is elected. And when Dickbag earlier was making reference to the jail system, third-party jail system, it used to be the sheriff was responsible for the jail and was responsible for the inmates. Well, now we have management companies. You have prison management companies that take that responsibility off the sheriffs. And I get it, because it, the jails, we're talking jails having, it's not, a dozen or so inmates. I mean, where Chili's at, I believe it was 3,000 something inmates in that county facility. I mean, then you look at big ones like Atlanta and some of the bigger jails. Good Lord, they got 5, 6, 7, 8,000 inmates. So a sheriff just literally has to spend so much time. So they use these jail management, but that's the difference between police. A policeman is police chief is appointed, and then the ranking officers underneath, are either earned by merit or they're appointed by the chief. And then same thing with like marshals. That's all appointed. That's the difference. That's why some that used to be the SOBSIT things changed a little bit over the years. But in the early days of SOBSIT, they would only recognize a sheriff as a law enforcement officer because it's an elected official. Now they don't want to recognize anybody.
Did their job in the situation.
Are you the lady with the water department? Oh, are you the city clerk? Okay. Well, I just wanted to bring you a courtesy copy of this. Do y'all have any officers on duty right now? Is Chief Stout on duty? Okay. Well, he has a protective order that's been issued against him out of Tulsa, and it orders him not to have a firearm. So I wanted to bring that out here to you guys. That was issued, and I got a copy of it for y'all.
At that point is when I realized that Mayor Patrick Kennedy doesn't give a He drove up and, are you mouthy? Are you mouthy? Are you mouthy? Are you mouthy? Because that's all he's got. And luckily his truck's got those automatic running boards, so when he jumped out, he didn't have too far to fall because he's 5'0". But he just flat out told us, I don't care. He's more worried about you having a bar license suspended for standing up for free speech than what he's doing, taking taxpayer money, refusing to give us records, violating the Open Records Act.
You're the mayor, you don't care? Why are you such a scumbag? Why are you a scumbag? Do I beat women? Do I beat women? Do I beat women? No, I don't beat women. Why do you hire them? You got convicted of a felony.
Are you mouthy?
You got convicted of a felony.
Are you mouthy?
You got convicted of a felony, sir, for stealing the money from this town.
Did you not?
Why did you steal money? Why did you steal money? Yeah, but bring it to bar. I'm not disbarred. I'm suspended. I'm suspended, sir. Understand, for exposing corruption.
What's that for?
For exposing judges for drinking and driving. Did you read that stuff? Why you were convicted of a felony, sir? Why do you keep? You trying to grab me again? Why don't you step out here and try to grab me? What do you think I'm scared? You were trying to grab me again. Why don't you get out of here? Why are you acting like a fool?
You're the one who's acting like a fool around here.
You don't want the protective order? Your chief can't have a gun. You hired the guy. You understand you're not going to have a job very soon, right? The AG's investigating. You realize that, right? All right, have a good day, Mayor. That's Patrick Kennedy, the mayor of Oilton, folks.
After the mayor of Oilton, Oklahoma, in a surprise encounter, chased us down and got out of his vehicle to make threats against us, the city of Oilton set a special emergency meeting to discuss a couple of things. One, they were going to discuss the employment of Carl Stout, but also they were going to discuss whether or not they were going to take legal action and sue Guerrilla Publishing. For what? Investigating the news.
I make a motion to follow the fees in the resolution regarding the Open Records Act.
Discuss a possible suspension or termination of police chief Carl Stout, the possible appointment of an interim police chief, claim or action against Ron Durbin, the firm on Greenwood and or Guerrilla Publishing LLC regarding their conduct towards the city and its employees. We need a motion to go into executive session.
What the Guerrilla Publishing crew discovered when they arrived at Oilton was horrifying. It was that the city of Oilton, instead of discussing these matters of grave public importance in the light of day, was going to choose to go to executive session and hide their conversations from the public. So during this emergency meeting, despite it having the opportunity to axe Carl Stout immediately, a man who they should never have rehired, based on the information we've provided in this documentary, they chose not to and continued to employ this man.
Yeah, Patrick. So when he went into the city clerk, and the city clerk informed him that she couldn't fulfill his request for any of the FOIA, that she had been directed by a city attorney not to do so, and Ron quoted the statute, the state statute, stating that he can't do that. And his threat is that he was going to follow up on it. So you're right. I mean, it was a legitimate threat. It wasn't like he went in there slinging something around and making, bodily harm threats or anything like that. It was a legitimate threat that he was going to follow up on it. And I looked into that, and he's absolutely right. They can't just shut down the Open Records Act in Oklahoma. You can't do it. And they did it for close to 2 weeks. And we're proud of it.
And despite the fact that he has this kind of history. So after they decided to take no action, we, Guerrilla Publishing, decided that we needed to do something to exert more pressure on the city to do the right thing. So we started doing a deep dive and applying as much pressure as we could, seeking records, going through business records, and looking into everything that we could possibly look into. One of the things that we discovered and looked into was the fact that the mayor was driving around a vehicle that still had dealer tags on. And in Oklahoma, there's limited rules on what vehicles can and cannot have dealer tags. We did a deep dive into that issue, spoke to the used car commission, spoke to the dealer who was providing the dealer tags, and ultimately got those dealer tags taken off of that vehicle. After exerting all of that pressure and doing everything else we could to get the word out that Carl Stout needed to go, the city finally called its regularly scheduled meeting, and on that agenda, they placed the item of Carl Stout for consideration again.
If anybody needs copies of all the protective orders or the statement from the girl in Bokeshi, Oklahoma, that was 16 years old when she encountered him, let me know. I got copies of all that stuff for you. Anything y'all need, I got it. If you want anything about his history, I got it all, Carl. If you want to see naked pictures of him, I got those too. I don't want to see those. And we're going outside. You should have an executive session a little different. They should leave for an executive session. That's how that should work. There's an agenda item that says discussion and action on the POs and claims. Under the Oklahoma Open Meetings Act, the public agenda notice is supposed to give the public reasonable notice of the items to be considered, the action to be taken, and give somebody reasonable notice of what they're talking about. Does anybody know what the action on the POs and claims mean? Because I have no clue what that means. Turns out they're approving purchase orders. Whose purchase orders are they approving? The mayor's purchase orders. And one of them had a question about that. And notice what they did. They approved them, but they approved them for another committee, another board, the OILTON Public Works Authority, to pay while they're in the city of OILTON city meeting. Violation of the Oklahoma Open Meetings Act. This agenda item, violation of the Oklahoma Open Meetings Act, all over the place.
Carl was in our live, I'm pretty positive, under the name Briggs, saying that I'm a sexual assaulter, that I moved to Oklahoma to run from sexual assault allegations.
What? You've been in freaking Oklahoma your entire life.
With the exception of the 5 years I was in the Army. It's funny, nobody believes it. I'm like, I'll tell you my first and last name. Most of our viewers know.
Yeah, and you got a DD-14 that'll prove where you were the rest of the time.
Yeah, it's like, try me, dude.
Carl, can I get an interview?
You can talk to my attorney.
I can talk to your attorney? I can't talk to you. I can't talk to you? I can't talk to, what's your attorney's name? How are you affording an attorney? Doesn't Rent-A-Center, don't you owe a lot of money to Rent-A-Center? Don't you owe a lot of money to Rent-A-Center? I think you owe a lot of money to Rent-A-Center. I'm standing on a public sidewalk. I can do that, Carl. If you want to arrest me, Carl, for standing on a public sidewalk asking why you don't pay your creditors? Why do you beat women, Carl? I've been wanting to ask you that question again. Why do you beat women? Because I have a judge. You didn't see the judge, the drunk driving judge? You want to talk about the drunk driving judge?
Yeah, let me pause this a second just to catch up. Ron, the guy that's talking right now, that's Ron Durbin. He is a Tulsa attorney. That's Tulsa County. OILTON is west of Tulsa, the next county over in Creek County. It's about, I don't know, about 40 miles from west of Tulsa, to answer that question. And Spirit Hunter, yeah, thank goodness some of this stuff's being revealed. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that, I know it sounds silly, but a lot of it's got to do with body cam and dash cams. Once transparency became available to anyone that wants to FOIA request it, it allows. And I kind of like the fact that there is some self-government there. And this is what I like about Ron, the fact that Ron, he does kind of border on what we call a frauditor, but only because he gets a little loosey-goosey sometimes. But his investigative work, the hours that he's put into this alone has been impressive. And let's see, there was something else I saw. I guess there's a lot of people weren't meant to wear skinny jeans. All right, let's get back at it, because he's going to get into Carl's face here, and Carl's going to get upset.
Carl, why are you beating women, Carl? Why are you beating women? That's what I want to know. Why do you beat women, Carl? That's all I want to know. You're on a public sidewalk. I can follow you all around the world, Carl. You're on a public sidewalk. No. I can do it, so I'm going to. You know I'm going to.
Dude, back up now.
You're shaking. You seem a little scared.
I'm not scared.
Are you terrified? I know you don't have any guns right now. You got a protective order issued against you. You can't have any. Did it get dropped? Did it get amended? No, but the order says you can't, buddy. And you know that. Okay, well, that's fine. You go along with that. I'm having a great day, Carl. I'm about to watch you go get fired from in there. So I'm having a fantastic day, Carl. This is the best day in the world. This is the best day in the world. Yeah. I'm glad you're doing your investigation, Carl. Good job. You're going to find some awesome stuff. You're going to find I don't back out. Yeah, he doesn't sexually abuse women, though, Carl.
Hard to read, honestly. That you act the way you do. And
Have a good day.
You know, what about the girl in Bokishi? What do you think? Do you know that she's still scarred by your sexual assault and molestation of her? She's still, we talked to her.
You're close to slandering.
We talked to her. We talked to her. You understand that? We talked to her. Do you understand she's still harmed by this? You've hurt her for the rest of her life. You're in a public place, Carl. I can keep following. Don't block me. You don't want to violate my constitutional rights. No, he wasn't. I just wanted to let him know. Carl, you seem a little mad. Do you want to hit me like you beat the women? I'm right here, Carl, if you want to beat me like you beat the women. What I hear, hey, what about the dog? Let me ask you about the dog, Carl.
What about you?
What about the dog, Carl? Did you let a dog lick Did you let a dog lick your
No.
You didn't let a dog lick your Didn't that what your son-in-law said? And one of your ex-wives?
You need to go.
Isn't that what they said? You're fine, dude?
Yep.
I'm not your dude.
You're a dude.
Yeah, you're right, I'm a dude, which is why you won't come beat me. You only beat women, right? That's all you beat is women. I'm not a woman, so you can't beat me.
Close to it.
Well, great, then I'm right here, Carl. Why don't you come give me what you gave that girl, the 16-year-old in Bokishi? Why don't you give me your ex-wife down in Georgia? Why don't you give me a little of that? Why don't you show us what you let the dog do? Show us where you let the dog touch you, Carl. Show us where you let the dog touch you, Carl. No, he beats women. I don't hate that it came to this. I don't care. He deserves every bit that he's given to the women in his life. You've talked to his daughters. We've talked to your stepdaughters. I don't beat my kids. They also don't walk in on me getting my flicked by a dog either. I mean, I would have never thought to do that, Carl.
You got to give him credit. It takes some brass gonads to stand out there and do that. No matter where you are. Oh, mercy, relentless.
Did you use peanut butter? I hear that's a popular thing. No? No peanut butter involved in the defiling of any animals? And I just want to know why you beat women, Carl. You don't beat women? No? Not anymore? Or you've never beat women? So you've never put your hands on a woman. So all these women who keep saying it are just going to keep lying and lying and lying? I mean, there's a lot of people that have called us, Carl. We'll stay right here, Carl. We'll see you in a minute, Carl. We haven't interviewed.
It's Ron Durbin, D-U-R-B-I-N. And I'm trying to make sense of this. There's a period in there. Let me put my glasses on. It's all bleeding together here. Ron Durbin is a good man, and he loves freedom. Yeah, well, I can see that. And the law of the land, he's fighting tyrants. We, the people. Oh, that's why it was bleeding together. There's no space. We, the people that don't go along with the Blue Line gang members breaking laws every day all over the USA. Yeah. Well, my issue is the problem with law enforcement. Ron Durbin basically he turned out kind of being collateral damage. I don't think there's probably that many bad mayors out there. I think this was happenstance. And, you know, I mean, a felony is a felony. I don't care how you look at it. But my whole issue is this law enforcement and this hopping from town to town to town. Somebody said something a while ago, 885. Yeah, that's about the size of Oilton. Oilton's a small town. Now, Oilton was a boom town 100 years ago. That's why it was called Oil Town. I mean, this is Phillips Petroleum country. This is Frank Phillips country. This was oil boom country. And when I first came to Oklahoma in the 80s, it was still pretty much an oil town. Now, a lot of that has moved to Houston. And Bartlesville, which is north of Tulsa, is the home of Phillips Petroleum. It's still, but it still relies a lot. There's a lot of oil money still here. Okay, that's about it. I'm gonna wind this down too, anyway.
Interviewed any Carl supporters, so we just thought I'd ask Carl supporters.
Well, so there you have it. Yep, there you have it. Pretty much it. I mean, the whole problem with this jumping around state to state, town to town, we see it all the time.
That's a bullet that was pulled out.
Get this off there. We see it all the time. Something will come up and you'll find that an officer worked at another department somewhere else and he was hired on. You know, you're supposed to be cleat certified, and the problem is you don't have to be cleat certified. They need to tighten up the verbiage in that so that it's mandatory. So that if you're cleat certified and you're a law enforcement and you commit a crime or you do something bad, no, you can't go to work anywhere. And it's funny because a lot of them don't even leave the state. They just hop around different counties in the state and pick up these. It was funny because I was watching another video when I was looking at that Joe Beers and looking at his history and the departments he'd been with, hopping around and stuff. Finding any kind of news or anything I could find. And if you Google his name and put Oklahoma in behind it, you'll see he's got plenty of hits. You may have to fish a little bit deeper on some pages because some of it goes back about 10 years. But how in the hell this guy can go from 20 miles east of Tulsa to 40 miles west of Tulsa after dealing with a charge like doing that to a young woman in the backseat of a cruiser. I mean, come on. So, and he had just entered cleat training and had already been employed for 7 years in law enforcement, 6.5, 7 years. And the city of, I believe it was Inola, said if he was going to stay there, he had to start his cleat training, and they had actually put him into cleat training when all this happened. And I still haven't found out whether he completed that or not. That's still in limbo. I sent an email out day before, guess what was it, Friday. So we'll see what happens with that. All right. Anyway, it was found earlier. This is all under the bridge now. I'll go back to doing what I do behind the scenes silently. I won't waste people's time with these kind of videos. I had to put this one up. I just had to, and just because I got so involved in it, and it's not exactly what I enjoy doing, but it was certainly important. All right, Vaughn, Linda, thank you, darling. Appreciate you. DP, if you're listening, make sure you shout and all that good stuff. And as you can tell, I'm about ready to nod out. I went all night last night trying to get my computer squared away. It was still acting kind of squirrely right before we went on. I didn't have sound. I had to update a bunch of stuff and got my got things in a mess. I'm not a computer whiz at all, but I did get it working. So, all right. Love you guys. Vaughn, thank you. I appreciate you. You know that. Your garden is beautiful. Linda, thank you. I love you. You do wonders. I saw your emails. I'll get a look at those videos as soon as I can. I'm a little exhausted today, so I'll take a peek at them in the morning. I've got to work on my lawn tractor, see if I can figure out. I'll take the carburetor off and rebuild it. I guess it's acting squirrely. Anyway, till next time, you guys. I'm Brother Ram. I'll be gone.